All right, our third topic today. Tunde, you sent me something recently talking about how some of the technological efforts, that are using technology in certain parts of the world to try to make it rain, like precipitation. Make it rain on demand. Not in the club. But like they figured that out. Making it rain in the club, they figured out already. They had that pretty good.
Not this kind of rain. Okay.
But making it rain. But I feel like I got to make the distinction because it's a phrase you hear, and it might evoke a certain thought in your mind. But we're talking about.
I just want to know: is it going to be ones, 20s, or hundreds, man? When it rains, which one?
But no, like the idea of creating precipitation on demand, when there's a drought or when it hasn't been raining, and this is advancing, seeding clouds, and I mean this is something the humans have been trying to do, going back to rain dances and sacrificing virgins, thousands of years ago. So but this is I guess more technologically advanced than those, but it's still something that we don't have down yet. But what are your thoughts on this as an aim, a technological aim? And unintended consequences, and just kind of what's happening in this space right now.
I find it very interesting, but I do find your allusion to rain dances and sacrificing virgins actually very profound, because I would have never thought of that.
Hey, man,
because obviously. No, but it's a great point.
It's an effort in the same direction. That's
what I mean. It was a mental effort, but it was the idea of, if we do this dance or we sacrifice this person, we somehow gain control over the ability to talk at least to the gods about making it rain or not. So it's a great point.
Compel them.
It's a great point to say that, whether we believed we were actually being effective or we're just trying, that human beings have wanted to control the weather or have the weather bend to our whims for a long time. So, but no, I think, look, in reading the article and the country of where they're developing this technology and trying it in Yemen, one part of me recognizes that the desert needs irrigation if you're going to have people there. So I appreciate it from a country that's all desert pretty much, or mostly desert. That would try and say, hey, let's get some more precipitation, let's get more fresh water, coming out of the sky here. My concern is, the weather is the weather, and the earth has a long history of dealing with itself in a certain way. And my concern would just be that if human beings began to tinker with the ability to produce rain, could that create unintended consequences that we do not yet see or appreciate? That would be my big fear.
We know for sure it would create unintended consequences. The question is just how bad they would be. That's the one.
I don't even know what those are.
Consequences would be.
But that's what I mean. We might not even be able to imagine potentially what the consequences could be. Correct. That's what I'm saying. Is it's like we'd be doing something to the planet that has never been done before, which is something outside of the planet itself controlling weather patterns. And I'm just not sure how the planet would react to that.
Well, no, I mean, what stood out to me the most in this, other than, like I said, this sounds like, rain dancing and all this other stuff. Again, just higher tech. But is that the approach that's being taken is not necessarily about getting more moisture into the sky, into the clouds, but causing the moisture that's there to fall. And so basically, there's not enough, or the moisture is not in a position or condition to where enough of it's there and it's in the right spot to be able to fall from just straight, physics. So they're trying to adjust things and change things to make the not primed moisture, which may not be, again, it may not be a lot or whatever, but it's something, fall, which would seem to throw a lot of, would affect other things, like when you understand how the weather works, this stuff is all interconnected. And so if you start making excess moisture, or not excess, but just moisture that's not necessarily in a state that it should fall in one area fall, then how is that going to affect weather and others in connected areas or adjacent areas? And is that going to then cause moisture that's over here to start distributing out and normalizing, or what's that going to do to pressure, high pressure, low pressure systems, everything like that? And so it seems like, because this is something that's so interconnected, that we're not going to know the unintended consequences, the extent of the unintended consequences. There's only one way to find them out. And human beings, we tend to be we don't tend to just say, well, let's just not do this because we don't know how bad it's going to be. Like we tend to just go ahead and do it and then see how bad it's going to be. And then you'll have some people saying, we don't care how bad it is. Let's just keep doing it. And,
Yeah.
and then other people say, hey, this is pretty
Well,
bad.
and
Maybe
if
we should try to
there's
adjust.
profit to be made,
Yeah,
then it's even
exactly.
worse. Because you know what this is making me think of? Just climate change in general. Because think about what if you follow it down this trajectory of
My
using
choice of
nature.
words was definitely an allusion to the current arguments we have about climate change.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well then my subconscious picked it up, so let me run with it. So now, because as you're talking, it's like, wow, you were seeding that in my head.
I
Like a
seeded
cloud
that in your head,
seeded,
man. It's
yes.
inception, man.
Now let me rain it out. Is no, no, because I'm just thinking, like, think about it. It's natural that over millions of years we have the reason why they're called fossil fuels, right? It's the last bits of organic material left over from plants and animals and all that were alive millions of years ago, right? And pressed down by the Earth's gravity and all that. And the ones that are hard are coal, and the ones that are liquefied are oil. And so what happens is for 150 years, roughly, we've been sucking that stuff out of the ground so we can use it. And the unintended consequence has been it's warmed the planet by a couple degrees. The unintended consequence of that is that the sea levels have risen, and it's caused hurricanes and storms to get worse and more potent and all that. So
and weather
we do have an example
in general,
Yeah, so we do have an example, and you know what's interesting too? I learned that recently, reading something, that because of all of the drilling for everything that humanity has done in the last century, meaning just oil, blowing the tops off mountains for getting minerals and metals out, drilling for fresh water. So it's not to pick on anything. We've actually tilted the Earth an additional zero point 0.3 degrees. Yeah, just kind of thrown the Earth off a bit. We put that much holes in it. So that's what I mean. Like we and who knows if that will have an unintended consequence, maybe centuries or millennia from now, the Earth being a little bit tilted from where it naturally was. So that's my point, is that, yeah, we've tinkered with the Earth enough by this point in humanity's existence that we've already seen some unintended consequences that may have taken decades or even a century to play out. And so this weather one, I don't think we should be that naive to not think that there could be some other unintended consequence if we really have the ability to control rain and weather patterns.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, like another thing that when you look at this, you have to keep in mind is that, and this is kind of going back to the illusion I was making, is that these concerns aren't necessarily reason or cause that this will stop. And so what we're going to have is this is going to continue on, whether it works or not, in our current state of technology or, what's reasonably attainable to us, we don't know, but if it does work, then how does that, okay, so setting aside how that will affect everything else, and the unintended consequences, what are the intended consequences? Because if I think back to like agriculture and how agriculture changed the course of humanity in substantial ways. Remember, we did the book Sapiens a while back, which detailed a lot of that, and also detailed how humans have been changing their environment since the very beginning. Since Homo sapiens popped up and took over, been changing our environment, mass extinctions everywhere we show up. This is how we roll. And so, but just the intended consequences, are you going, like, to some degree, places that are inhospitable to tons of life are maybe better kept not having a ton of people there, but if we do this, do we then create situations like right now, like we've created with air conditioning has made places that aren't generally hospitable for masses. We've had masses live places now because of air conditioning, and we're relying on air conditioning in that way. So we're looking at potentially the same kind of thing here with desert or arid environments where it's like, okay, well, now we can have, instead of 30,000 people here, that are just, like kind of living, but it's not overly comfortable. We got to ration water or whatever. And now we're going to have, like we're able to have a lot more people, like in these places, getting into just the nature of these consequences. Do we see more if you do this? And this is going back to unintended. Does it cause more evaporation? And which could do all these types of crazy stuff. I think that you can play it out in many different directions. But the intended consequences, to me, I'd be interested in as well, to not go completely off of that tangent. But do we end up with, again, more people living in places because we can make it rain than we need to? And then how does that affect society? How does that affect other societies and so forth? But to me, that again, why are you doing this? Like so that ideally, so more people can live there in the same way that when you could start growing food, instead of having a village of 20,000, you could have a village of 200,000, just because instead of you're not doing hunter gatherers and you're not doing that kind of stuff, but you're just growing the food.
Yeah. And I mean, that last thing, and then I know we want to wrap it up, is, there's the law of unintended consequences of weaponization as well. I mean, that's
yes.
actually well documented. No, but it's well documented that the U.S. government was doing this kind of research during the Vietnam War. They were trying to seed clouds where they already knew that there was going to be a storm or a typhoon to try and make it rain even more, to make the kind of land more inhospitable for the Viet Cong, to make their trucks get stuck in mud, that harder for them to walk.
Maybe abandoned positions and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, what if one country did that one and just said, we're going to make it rain for 6 months straight?
About it, man. Like whether countries do it or non-state actors, like I think this sets the stage for every Bond villain or Dr. Evil, or like this is the stuff we see in movies. Like, I'll send my rain-making machine on you and let you pay me $1 billion. Yeah. Something like that. Like,
no, this would be the perfect thing for someone like Elon Musk to say he's going to develop and perfect, and then try and weaponize it against everybody. Like, now I got my rain, laser beam or something, and so now I'm going to force you to buy the blue check on X, and and I'm going to say that it's freedom of speech, but just ban people I don't like. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we should actually, now I support it, because it'll be fun to watch Elon Musk get all over this.
Yes. Yeah. The potential for villainry.
He's already got SpaceX, so he can put the rocket up there, just have the laser shooting down on the clouds to make it rain.
Oh, man.
And then when he misses and starts a forest fire, then the other lady who said it was space laser.
Be a space laser. Yes.
See?
Yes.
Man, I got this all figured out.
You got it all figured out, man. You can tie all the conspiracies together. So, but no, I think we can wrap from there. We appreciate everybody for joining us on this episode of Call Like I See It. Subscribe to the podcast, rate it, review it, tell us what you think, send it to a friend. Until next time, I'm James Keys.
I'm Tunde Ogunlana.
All right, we'll talk to you next time.